Aaron, I have news. The sedan is not dead.
What?
It's true.
Holy crap. Hi, I'm Aaron.
Hi, I'm Kristin.
And we're on the Drive Mode show. Because we're it. We're the show. So you told me sedans aren't dead. And I don't believe you.
What do you mean you don't believe
I live
me?
in pickup truck Central America.
Well, that's true. I live in Texas. There's a lot of trucks and a lot of SUVs at my son's school. That is for sure. But I'm seeing a lot of sedans still, and I'm seeing a lot of advancements in sedans that I like. What are your favorites?
My favorites for sedans? So we agreed beforehand that we would limit this to regular cars. So we're not doing any luxury or super sports or anything like that. But I'm going to push that envelope anyway.
Of course you do.
My favorite sedan is actually Subaru STI.
Really?
So the little WRX STI.
Okay, why?
Because it is the best off the factory floor rally car you can get. So it's souped up, it's fast, it's sport tuned, and it's all-wheel drive with center differential control. It has one of the best manual transmissions I've ever driven, and you can rip it up pavement or not. That's why I like it.
Well, I
really like the fact that you don't have to get that giant air wing on the back anymore.
What do you mean? You don't like that?
It made me feel like I was 12.
I like that on the Type R, the Honda Civic Type R. I do like that wing. And
that's a whole different thing, though.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
That car has a different look.
When you said manual transmission, that's the first one I thought of because that's the best manual transmission I've driven in a long time.
Wow. I've driven some Volkswagens that had pretty good manuals. I've driven pretty much every Subaru I've driven has a really good manual. That includes like the BRZ and so on. And surprisingly, Ford has a really good manual, especially in the Mustang.
Really?
Yeah.
Because when I drove a Mustang...
That's not a sedan, so we're kind of moving off
Well, yeah, now
topic.
we're veering off.
As per usual, we do that every time.
Get back on the road. Get back in your lane, Aaron.
Here's what I was surprised to find out. There are still going to be 2020 models of the Chevy Malibu and the Ford Fusion. I thought they were dead.
I thought they were dead too. I wonder what happened. I don't know the whole story.
I assume that they just have to keep building them for a certain amount of time because they already have the tooling.
True.
So I know they haven't changed. So the 2020 will be the same as the 2019 model. But I don't know details on it. I thought this was the last year, so
I did too. Well, I can tell you about some of the sedans that I've driven recently, and one of them that I really liked, and I was surprised that I liked, was the Buick Regal GS. It was sporty, and it had a great look. In fact, a couple people asked me if it was a BMW.
Wow. See, I really like the Touareg, which is a very similar car. But I like station wagons more than sedans, so that and it's just really pretty.
It's pretty. I would love the Touareg. I think the Touareg would be perfect if you put the engine from the Regal GS in the Touareg. Then you would have a winner for me.
Because my wish was that you take like the Jaguar Sport Brake and you just pull the bodywork off that and put the Buick body on it and drive it like that.
There you go.
It would be awesome.
Franken vehicles. We're making them right now.
So with sedans, I did look up sales numbers because you surprised me by saying sedans didn't die. And so I looked up sales numbers, and it turns out that their sales fall was last year. They had a huge drop, and they had a big drop the year before. But this year, their sales losses, so their overall volumes, are actually on par with the overall market sales losses, which we have because of this little temporary automotive downturn we're in. So I was amazed to find that out, that we're only at like, I think it was 6.5% in sales losses so far for 2019 for sedans. So that's mid-size sedans only, but that's that includes all the big players. That's the Toyota Camry, the Nissan Altima, I think it's the Altima. Isn't that their mid-size, or is that their small one?
Yeah.
I'm really bad with names sometimes. So that includes all the major players. That's the Honda Accord and all of them. So that was interesting to see. And the Tesla Model 3 has seen its sales loss that it had early this year flatten out and start to climb a little bit. So that's another indication that the market's coming back. And the Chevy Bolt is selling in record numbers, up like 20-something% this year. So who knew?
You are a fountain of statistics this morning.
Yeah, well, I got Google, so I know all this. I know all this complicated stuff. Like I don't know how to turn my phone off, apparently, because it just started ringing.
Yeah, I was going to talk about how I like sporty cars, but how much I love the Camry and the Avalon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because in my mind, the Camry is one of the most improved cars in the last 10 years. Like, it went from being the most boring, everyday, whatever car to being, like, a really, really good car. Like, beyond, it just sells because it says Toyota on it.
It's beautiful. The XLE is done so well. And of course, Toyota does hybrid, just, I don't want to say better than anybody else, but they do it really well. I had a 1989 Camry. That was one of the first cars that I ever bought. And it was that little boxy little thing. And I shared it with my then boyfriend, and we drove it all over the place. But it's come a long way since then. It's really streamlined. It's very elegant. And, if you take that just a step up, then you've got the Avalon. And the Avalon hybrid is spectacular.
Oh, yeah. And 40 miles a gallon all day without even trying.
I know it. It's so pleasant.
This is like the bloopers reel.
So my first car, since you brought up Toyotas, my first car was actually a Toyota Corolla. And it was a sedan, a 4-door sedan. It was gold. It was the LE, so I thought it was awesome because it had like air conditioning and stuff.
Yes.
5-speed manual. It was a great car. I took my driver's test in that car.
I think I took my driver's test in my mom's Buick Century.
Okay. I drove, I think it was a LeSabre or a Century. It was either a Century or a LeSabre. I drove in driver's ed. And it was because it was the only manual car they had. Because I had literally never driven an automatic. And when I first got into an automatic, I pushed down the brake pedal thinking it was the clutch. And the teacher's looking at me. He's like, what the hell are you doing? I thought it was the clutch. So we had a little discussion about driving history, and I had never driven a manual transmission or an automatic transmission. And so he just put me in the one that had a manual so that I would be more comfortable. And there you go. I didn't want to tell him that half of my driving up to that point had been in a manual transmission with a non-working clutch. Our old farm truck where he just floated the gears.
When my dad tried to teach me to drive a manual in a Chevy Citation, it did not go well.
No? Wow. Huh. Yeah, I remember struggling to learn how to drive a manual. But a lot of that was just because I was really young, so it's like a 9-year-old, 10-year-old kid. And then beyond that, when I got into actual driving, when I got old enough, when I was about 14 and started practicing driving.
14.
That was a lot of, I didn't have that kind of coordination with the clutch and the shifter because I hadn't ever had to have that. The other cars we'd had were all farm vehicles and tractors and all that stuff, and so they're very loose and forgiving, and you could you're generally there, so it'll work, it's fine. But so learning to shift with precision took a while, and then I had to unlearn all of that in order to learn to double clutch for a truck.
Oh man.
When I drove a big truck. So.
I never did learn to do that.
It's eye-opening. I would actually, if possible, recommend that anybody who can at least take the written and classroom safety courses that truck drivers are supposed to take.
Really?
Because there's a lot of information there.
That sounds like a whole nother show.
Yeah, could be.
Hold on.
So, sedans.
Wait. Hold on 1 second. Pause. Don't move. I just shut the door to see if that would help. Look at you.
Said not to move.
Okay. So on my list of sedans, we talked about a whole bunch of them earlier today. We listed the Altima, Nissan Altima and Maxima. We've got the Toyota Corolla and the Camry. We talked about the Buick Regal GS, Honda Accord, the Honda Insight, the Honda Civic, Toyota
I really
Avalon.
like the Insight, by the way.
Yeah.
We both like the Avalon a lot.
Yes.
And the Jetta. You can get the Jetta, what do they call it? The GLI?
Yeah, I just drove that.
Wonderful sedan. Wonderful.
Okay, tell me what you loved about it, because I did not love it.
So
I didn't hate it.
I
didn't love it.
Okay, I liked that it was sporty without being over the top. So it's a simple sporty, right? It's not a fast or aggressive sporty. It's a feel sporty car. And for most of us, most regular Joes, they don't actually want a sports car, because if they wanted that, they would go buy the Hellcats and the GTs and whatever's. What they want the feeling of sport, but they don't want the intimidation and the cost of sport, right? So they don't want to have to pay the price of, you have to constantly be vigilant, you have to drive it the way it's meant to be driven in order to keep, they don't want those things. They want to just drive normally every day, but they want the feel of sportiness. That's why every car has sport mode, which is just, all it really does is increase the throttle input a little bit and maybe change the transmission vectoring. So it just makes the transmission shift more aggressively. Otherwise, it's not actually changing anything about the car. You're not getting more power. You're not getting more anything. So the GLI is kind of in that class. It feels sporty. It drives really well. I loved the manual transmission. It had a 6-speed manual. It was very, very smooth to drive, easy to up and downshift with, so that you could every day drive with that manual, and you didn't feel like you were going to have an Arnold Schwarzenegger left leg and be moving your hand too much. You could just float it around and move it, and really everything was just really synchronous. It was really nice to drive. And it looks good. It's a good looking car. So those were the things that I liked about it.
It's a good looking car, and I agree with you that it has a nice sporty drive. I really liked it in sport mode. It has a little growl to it, and it's fun, and it sounds more aggressive than it looks. What I really feel like it had room for improvement was in the infotainment, the Jetta especially.
Yeah.
Because I had
and that's kind of true across the board for Volkswagen.
Yeah.
Their infotainment's a little. It's not as updated and modern as others. It's not as user intuitive, I think. Is the best way to put it.
I felt that way too, and I felt that way about the gauge cluster as well. I had the Touareg right after I had the Jetta GLI, and I thought the Jetta GLI was more fun to drive than the Touareg, but the Touareg had better infotainment features and a slightly better gauge cluster.
Well, between the two, the Touareg is the newest, so it had the new updates last year. So it's completely new, whereas the Jetta hasn't changed in 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, it's been around a while.
That's a big part of that.
And that's a great car, I think, for a young person. I sound like I'm a grandmother saying that. For a young person. But I think it's a good first car.
Another car that's great for young people or even middle-aged people, so all of us. And that is probably still the prettiest sedan on the road. That's the Mazda 6. Such a pretty car.
That is a beautiful car.
And it drives so nicely.
I agree.
Great car.
And we've talked about this before, I'm obsessed with the Mazda Red. The Soul Red Crystal Metallic, it's so distinctive. And I think...
I can't remember. I think it's still a $300 upcharge to get that.
I think so.
If I remember. Yeah.
It's worth it.
And for the Mazda 6... it really only looks good in that color. I don't think I've seen another color that looks as good as that red.
The white, I can't remember the name of the white. I should, because I'm usually pretty good at remembering the paint colors. But I think I had it in white last summer, and I loved it. It was beautiful. Got some great pictures of it.
I'm convinced that all the engineers that name those colors, they all live in Colorado.
Why?
So that they can go down the street to the local smoke shop and get a little buzzed up to come up with these color names, because I'm just like, what? It's blue.
Well, it's the same people that name like fingernail polish and stuff, you know. I love the names. I love the Toyota blue names, and they've got them in there for their Camry and their Avalon as well.
What's another one that's
How about the Kia? How about the Kia sedans? We could talk about the Cadenza.
There you go. That's the one I was trying to think of because I couldn't remember the name of it. The Optima and the Cadenza.
Yep.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. I really like the Optima. I think it's a really pretty car. It's a good looking, it's a basic sleek style. So the Optima is very, very pretty. And the reason that it is because they went with, Kia stole a design guy from Volkswagen Audi. And that guy has a very Teutonic style about him. So the way he designs is very simplistic and sleek.
And that's where the Optima really shows it. It's really, really sleek and simple. The lines are very, very simple, and they create an almost like BMW or Audi feel. Just a very, very sleek and simple and Teutonic is what I like to call it, design theory. And it is a good word. I use it all the time with Volkswagens. That's how I describe the interiors, because austere just sounds too, you know. But I really like the design of that car. I like the look of it. So that's entirely why it's really, really simple. And then we talked about the Camry. The Camry has gone the other direction. They're going more towards a show car look. So they've added a lot more lines and a lot more busyness to it. And that has created a very, very unique and really good-looking style, which I never thought I would ever say about a Camry. Because for a long time, Camry was my go-to kicking post. That was the car to make fun of, right? And it's not anymore. It's such a great vehicle.
I can't say I've ever made fun of it.
I don't know what to say about it.
Well, it's a great car. I mean, it's reliable. It's efficient, and if you get it in the hybrid, I mean, I would choose the hybrid every time, no question.
That's across the board with Toyota, I think. In my experience, every Toyota as a hybrid drives better than the gasoline version.
So let's do some free association for music. If I name a sedan, you tell me what kind of music you think of. You ready?
Okay. What kind of music instead of just specific songs?
Do you think you can think of a specific song?
Not every time.
All right,
Not
I'll give you
thinking.
one. You tell me what comes to mind. Buick Regal GS in red.
In red. Johnny Cash.
Johnny Cash.
Yeah. And I don't know why, because red isn't associated with him. But it's I don't know, it's a Buick Cadillac thing. Some
Ring of
sort
Fire.
Yeah, just something seems to tie in. It feels like Johnny Cash.
Okay. How about the Kia Optima in blue?
Kia Optima, I would go with probably Sirius Turbo. So that's channel 41.
I know that channel because it's right by
90s.
Hair Nation.
Yeah.
Okay, Honda Insight.
More of a coffee house feel.
I'm thinking of that
So-
one in a silver, like just pops into my head in silver.
Yeah. Every time I've seen one, it's in either silver or that light blue they have.
How about a Toyota Avalon in black?
In black. Toyota Avalon in black. Frank Sinatra.
That's what I think of when I think of like a big Lincoln.
Okay. I think of Matthew McConaughey and things that don't make sense.
Well,
But-
that's a nice visual. How about a Nissan Altima? Now all-wheel
Nissan
drive.
Altima. I think I would go with maybe Sirius Octane. So sort of a hard rock, but not really hard, and more modern, right?
Yeah.
So the
pretty
newer
modern.
style of music where the music sounds hard, but the singing isn't. You know that?
I get it. It's not a Rob Zombie.
No. Trying to think of another car that. Oh, I know. You tell me what kind of music you would play that would fit in a Mazda 6.
A Mazda 6. I think it's something modern. I don't know, but Taylor Swift's "You Need to Calm Down" just popped into my head. I love that
Need to
song.
calm down.
Also, I like the Jonas Brothers "Cool" because that Mazda's pretty cool. It's very easygoing.
Yeah. The persona of that car is very. It's laid back without being lazy.
I like that. I think we've covered sedans pretty well at this point.
I think we have. We've got 20 odd minutes, almost 30 minutes.
Good luck editing.
Yeah, this will be fun.
What do you
But
think of my
It's
teeth?
going to be a good show. Oh, yeah, she went to the dentist today. Look at that. Bling,
Pearly white.
bling,
I need like a...
bling. Did you hear any of those, like, ratchet sounds? Vroom, vroom.
No.
Remember that? Just cleaning?
Because bling.
All right, this has been Aaron,
This has been Kristin.
and this was the Drive Mode Show.
Thanks for joining us.